The Hugging Tree by Jel Neymark. On a bleak and lonely rock near the vast and mighty sea was a tiny little tree where no tree should ever be. So, a small little tree was growing on a big rocky cliff near the sea. Now, how this tree came here, nobody knew, because children, just like all of you can see from your balconies, and you can see that trees are growing in a garden, or some small plants are growing in pots where there is soft soil. Most trees grow when there's mud or soil or earth. But this little tree, she was growing from a rock. There's hardly any soil for me, no forest birds, no bees, no breeze, but I will do the best I can to make this rock my home, said the little tree. And the little seed began to sprout into a little plant. Can you see down here in the corner? The seed sprouted, and a tiny little shoot and a tiny little root came out of that seed. And let's turn the page. Oh, look here. Her tiny roots pushed night and day, and bit by bit the rock gave away. An inch, a foot, and then two. She grew and grew and grew. So, from a tiny little seed and sapling into a small plant, and then slightly bigger and bigger. And look at her. She's bending over the side of the rock down to say hello to the waves. And the waves said, the ocean hugged the rocky shore. I like you near me, little tree. Let us keep each other company, said the waves. And the tree was very happy. She said, there are no other trees here. There's no grass. There are no people. I'm alone on this big rocky cliff. But the waves will be my friend and we'll keep each other company. And that's exactly what happened. Slowly, slowly, the tree grew and grew. The soft gold sunbeams kissed her crown, warm like honey pouring down. At night, she raised her branches to say hello to the moon in the sky. And the moon said, do you know, little tree? On some nights, you can see me in the sky like a full round moon. And on some nights, I'm like a thin crescent moon, like a sea. Have you seen that, children, ever? The full moon and then the half moon and the crescent moon? I'm sure you have. And so the little tree, can you see she's right on the edge of the cliff? And she was holding onto the cliff very, very tight. And slowly, slowly, she was growing taller and taller. And she became into a beautiful green bushy tree. And one day in summer, a pair of birds came there. These birds were called loons. And they said, hey, what a pretty tree! And what a sparkling sea! I think we should make this place our home and have our baby chicks here in our nest. The little tree was so happy. She spread her branches high and wide and she said, of course, I will be your home. And please come and live here. And that's exactly what the birds did. They built their nest, they laid their eggs, and soon two baby chicks were born. Can you see the bird? It's called a loon bird. And the two small little chicks. And so the summer passed and it began to get colder and colder. It was autumn, and the little tree turned to red and gold. Sometimes in the winter, for some trees, not all trees, some trees, their leaves turn into red and yellow or brown, and then all the leaves started shedding, falling from the tree. And it was so cold, the wind was howling, woo, woo. And some of the branches broke. The bird said, "Oh dear, it's too cold to live here. We're flying away." So you see them in this corner, they're flying away. And the sea was icy cold. The rocky cliff was full of snow, and in the sky there were thick thunder clouds. And the tree said, "Oh dear, it's so cold, it's so cold. I've lost all my leaves, my branches are breaking." And she said, "Dear mighty rocky cliff, hold me tight. Please don't let me blow away." And the rocky cliff said, "Little tree, with all my might, with all my strength, I'll hold you close night and day." And so the tree with her roots was holding the cliff, and the rock was holding the tree. And thus passed the winter. It was so cold, and the poor little tree lost all its leaves. And the moon said, "Don't worry, little tree. Storms will come and storms will go. But one day the sun will come out and melt the snow." But the tree said, "I can't grow now. My branches are all broken, and my roots are also torn away." The moon said, "Sometimes we lose our way, but you need a little help, and then you can start again." And the tree said, "But who will help me?" And the moon said, "Just you wait and see. I'm sure you will get some help from somewhere." And soon a little boy came running by, and he was throwing stones into the sea. When he saw the little tree, he stopped and stared, and he said, he touched its tiny leaves and broken roots, and he shook his head and said, "Hmm, I know just what you need. I will help you, little tree." The boy felt so sad that the branches had broken, the roots were all torn away from the ground. And he said, "I think I know just what this tree needs. And I'm going to help this tree because trees give us so much. I want to help this tree. I want to take care of it. I want it to be nice and green and bushy all over again." And do you know what he did? He was such a nice little boy, and he had this amazing idea. He said, "A tree can't hug a boy. It has no hands or arms, but it hugs you with its heart, and that is deep and warm." And you know what he began doing? Every day, he would bring 2 buckets of soil, and he would come and pour it at the roots of the tree. He packed the roots, he tucked them in, he planted flowers around the sea, he made a nice pathway, he put some nice colorful flowers, and he said, "Now everyone will know that even on this rocky cliff, a little tree can grow. And he lay down and went to sleep and dreamed the things that boys dream of. And he was so happy and so comfortable. And he said, now my tree is back to where it was. The leaves have come back. I planted flowers. There's a pathway. And you know what, children? So many families began to come there. And they said, wow, this place used to be a rocky cliff with no grass, no shade, no nice place to sit. And look, somebody has made it so beautiful. And more families began to come. They would come and say, we're going to have a picnic here. And children would play. The grass began to grow. The flowers were blossoming. And everyone really, really loved this beautiful place. And they said that this tree is the most special tree, and they named it the hugging tree because it was hugging just a small part of the cliff and hanging on, and it stayed strong through everything. So they named it the hugging tree.